Welcome back to Colors Are a Crutch. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Woundedsatellite.
Yep, and I am Max P, better known as the Italian guy now. And with
Italian
us,
man.
and with us today, we have a special guest. As you know, we are Colors Are a Crutch. We're the two color guys, but today we have someone who's renowned for playing five colors, and that is Memo. What's up, Memo?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure
Thanks for
having
coming
you
on.
on. Yeah, so we have three topics we're going to get into today. The first one is we're just going to break down the most recent Mox Masters September top 16, go through some of the decks that did well there. And then we're going to get into our main topic of the day, which is sort of the elephant in the room. We're going to talk about cheating in CDH on webcam. And we all have a lot to say about that, so it should be a pretty fun, painful conversation. And then last, we'll finish things up. Just going to ask these guys some questions about coaching, what coaching is, what they can do, how they can help people, and get into it from there. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into Mox Masters September top 16.
Ooh, I'm excited because do you want to know why? We
Why is
have
that?
5 two-color decks in the top 16 and one bubbled out barely.
Yeah, can we just do a quick shout out to what deck came in at 17th place?
Yeah, I
It's
knew
our buddy
you'd say
D-Mage.
that. I
Yeah,
knew
of
you'd
course,
say
of course. This deck is gas. This deck is gas. It is ELIVERRE of the Wild Court, Selesnya commander from Wilds of Eldraine, who is the new Selesnya Winota. She's so good. She makes so much mana. She draws a ton of cards. She's got a ridiculous clock, and she plays hard stacks. And I don't know. I dig it. It's cool.
Yeah, I've got to play against that deck a bunch of times now, and it is it is miserable, absolutely miserable to play
So much
against.
fun.
Yeah, I also played
I will
against
say,
it
D-Mage.
yesterday.
You played it?
Yeah, it does stuff, right? It's a little, I don't know. I think you need an early stacks piece to survive. But if you like curve into your commander and then just start drawing cards, that's definitely very good to keep the pressure on. I think honestly, stacks. If you're not like getting out a devastating spell, like I don't know, obliterate.
Yeah,
I think you have to like draw cards, right? I think the best deck in the format usually generates some kind of card advantage, right? Vinota has done that for
Which
a
ELIVERRE
while.
does.
ELIVERRE does it, right? I think also Tevesh Roger also draws cards in the command zone. And I think that's like the same category because you just want to put like stacks pieces, you want to keep on putting them into play, right? To keep the
Yeah.
pressure on.
Definitely.
It reminds me a lot of Jetmir, but Jetmir with card advantage. You know, so
Exactly.
it loses some of the benefits of red, but it makes up for them by being able to draw cards. So
Yeah, and honestly,
I mean,
like
the stereotypical curve you get. Or sorry, the
Yeah.
stereotypical curve you get of like turn 1 Dork, turn 2 Stacks Beast, turn 3 ELIVERRE, start drawing cards, and then it just snowballs wildly. I'm a little disappointed that he's not on the last March of the Ends tech. That was really cool in testing when we were trying this deck out. But he definitely has added a few things since we kind of brought the list to him, where he's on like a Crater Hoof package now. Is he on the white Crater Hoof as well, maybe? But lots of things to really try and close out the game.
Yeah, just the one thing I wanted to add is because you said like you're missing out on red. I think that's definitely like not great, but the usual like I don't think red is that important for stack six, right? Unless you have like, here's a dockside into an I don't know Archon or Oof or like vice versa, right? Crack 5 treasures for Oof and then cast Archon. But usually like I don't think red is that important for like 3 color stacks because unless you have like deep powerful dockside play, red isn't that important because most of the hate bears are like white or like green.
yeah,
So,
that makes sense. I
think
haven't
it's
looked
good
at
colors.
Jetmir in a long time. I need to look at that deck again. Just
I don't know.
compare
Do they
it
play
to-
Stranglehold? I don't think so.
I don't think
Blood
so.
Moon is
No,
a,
they want
Blood Moon is a
creature-based
card,
stacks pieces.
but do you play
Yeah.
like Blood Moon in a 3-color deck? I don't think you should. And honestly,
I think the only Stacks Beast that's a creature you lose is really Magus of the Moon, right?
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But like Magus is like only good in Vinota, I think, or like maybe Tevesh Roger. No, they are polymorph, right? Tevesh Roger wants maybe Blood Moon, but I don't even know if they want that.
if we're being honest, I don't think Magus of the Moon is good at anything at this point. It's just not.
True.
It just
I
doesn't
mean,
get there.
Godo.
I mean, if Vinota flips it, it can be like, haha, surprise, surprise, you can't pass on my Vinota trigger, and here's the Magus of the Moon. But even then, people have like mana dorks. and
I've
artifact
jammed it
mana,
pretty
right?
hard. I've jammed it pretty hard in Florian, and the end result is, haha, here's a dockside. Thank you.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Treasures are very good at fixing colors. But getting into the actual top 16, we do get to start it off with a player we're all very used to seeing here. This is Sharky's Kraum Tevesh list. One we're pretty accustomed to at this point.
Yep. Faced Sharky round 2. Yeah, it was round 2. So I was down 1 game. And Sharky was going second after... What's the Gruul deck with the background? Erinnis and something?
Ernest.
So,
the Ernest.
Yeah, Ernest.
Yeah.
Ernest.
So it was basically a Snoop deck. Then Sharky started with a Mystic Remora, which also, Mystic Remora, powerful turn 1 play. And then it was me, and then Nifmizzet. And Sharky drew 5 cards in the first turn cycle, and 1 on turn 3 after we stopped the Snoop deck. And I got stopped. So I shoved the turn 3 Derevi, which got forced by Sharky, and then the Gruul deck tried to snoop, got also stopped, and then Sharky untapped and went rightfully. So if you ask me, it was like 3rd win attempt, stuck to the Remora, paid off, so well played, knows the deck inside and out, and it's a mainstay in the top 16, Sharky.
I think the words you used is he breathes that deck for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So moving on to number 15.
Shout out,
before
one quick shout out to the addition of Curse Totem, respecting the decks like Najeela or Kinnan. One of the Grixis decks that recently added Curse Totem, Sharky. So we talked before the last Chaos event, we talked about it, and they added it like one night before. But Sharky was already on Curse Totem, I think in February, but then subbed it out and put it back in now, and from what I heard, it put in some serious work. So that's definitely addition for the Grixis decks, which is probably not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it myself.
I'm at this point where it's like if your deck can play Grafdigger's Cage or Curse Totem, you play them. Almost regardless of what strategy you're on, because they're so amazing in the meta right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculously powerful stack pieces.
Yeah. So moving on to number 15, I don't recognize this name, Demetrius. I don't know if have you guys seen him before?
Nope.
He's on Tymna Halana, which I assume is a Stacks deck as well, or Stacks Hulk deck.
It's a Hulk deck. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a Hulk deck.
Boonweaver Giant. Jesus, what year is this?
Let me see this.
That's fucking hilarious.
He was studying some Safi decks probably.
Yep.
Carador. Is that trying to get Pattern of Rebirth? So that's trying to get Pattern of Rebirth. Exactly. The idea. You play Boonweaver Giant, get Pattern, sacrifice it, do your combo from there.
Yep. Man, he does have Safi in the deck. There you go. Very cool.
Yeah, you can play like Safi and Elas Ilkor as part of your Hulk package. I don't know.
I mean, I think Tymna Halana is one of the better Hulk decks because it works so clean where you can just put your Hulk into play, and as long as you have Halana, you have 2 extra mana, your Hulk can do the damage to itself, immediately just starts the loop. It's perfect.
Exactly. They are not on the new package with Samwise, I think, right? I don't see Samwise.
It feels like a mistake.
Okay, so they're doing it without it. I don't think it's necessary. But I've wanted to check, because some people are like, oh no, that's one compact pile you can put into play, but others prefer to not play it.
From what I understand, I've never played Hulk decks at all, but from what I've read, my understanding is that that's a cool pile, but it's not required.
I think the huge difference, what's pretty cool is that you end up with more food tokens. So if they have, let's say, an Otawara or a something, like they can channel, like a touch, whatever, to disrupt your combo, you can activate over it. So that's like one cute upside. But honestly, once your Hulk trigger resolves, you usually just win, right? Like it never comes up that you have to activate over it, but that's like one cute upside the combo has. But I think the overall card quality of cards like Safi or Elas Ilkor are probably better than like the Cat Samwise stuff. But yeah, and they made top 16 without running the Samwise package, so
good for them.
There we are.
Yeah. Well done.
So moving on to number 14, one close to Max's heart, Nixilis.
I do love seeing Obnix. Let me pull up this list here and see what we got.
Kind of vanished, right? They made like 2 top 16s right after release, and then Nixilis was
people
gone.
like
nothing. Yeah.
People stopped carrying the torch. It makes me almost want to bring up Nixilis to the tournament because I
Do
think I
it.
would top 16 on
Do
it.
it,
But
Nick.
like, I know I
dare
gotta get a
you.
win on Kinnan before I move to another deck. It's
It
kind of where I'm at right
is.
now.
I mean, I'll give it credit. It's the second best Rakdos deck in the format, for sure.
I mean,
What's
so
that?
what I could say is this Nixilis list is on some fuck shit. They are on so we cut Urza Saga and everything from our list because in testing it's so pip hungry. This deck is on Aversion Zone, Homeward Path, Scavenger Grounds, Urza Saga, Scud Scorch Desert. It's on a bunch of basics. This is wild.
25 lands for a mid-range deck.
So I talked to this person. I spoke with this Nixilis pilot for a little bit, and we went over some of the things. He's going to be making some improvements to his deck. For some reason, he's not on Prosper, which is literally the best card in the strategy. I remember having a conversation with this guy. He will be adding Prosper, Disciple of the Vaults, I think Cully of the Week, Reckless Fireweaver. He didn't know about the Sensei's Top loops that you can do, which is like the most common way that Nixilis ends up winning the game, where you have like a mana producer like Bergie or Prosper, you have a Reckless Fireweaver effect, you have Ob, you have Sensei's Top, that just lets you loop your deck, make infinite damage. So he will be making a lot of changes to this list, I would assume. But I mean, props on taking it. He's on much more of the like blood stacks cards, the Imp, Immolation Shaman type stuff.
All you need is Nixilis turn 1 and Cataract Parasite turn 2, and then you win. It's like the Mystic Remora in that deck. Yeah, it's a great one.
Yo, shout out to SCG though at the SCG Con in Columbus last weekend. They had their foil Cadaric Parasite mislabeled for only like $15 when it's like a $40 foil now. I snagged one of those.
Also, one quick note. Shout out to this is another deck that is kind of commander value centric, but also has access to a one card win con. Right? We see that with Pivot. Also, like Kinnan was like probably one of the first, but Najila also has this. But Nixilis with all will be one wins on the spot, right? So that's just another great deck that has access to it, and I think 2023 just asks for either like super crazy broken card advantage engines like Tymna Kraum or like mana explosion with Rock, or you just opt for a commander that gives you a one card win con.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have a hard time playing any commander that doesn't have some kind of card advantage in the command zone. But if it's part of a combo to win the game, then that's the exception, I think. So and this, like you said, Nixilis does both. It provides some card advantage, and it's a combo piece. So that's what you want.
I think people don't realize.
Yeah.
The best thing about Nixilis that people don't realize is that it is a legitimate beatdown plan.
100%.
Like he will kill anyone in 2 attacks. It is so quick.
Also, like
how fast
fourth
they die.
fourth flank trample. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna cast my Kraum to jump block. No, that's not gonna happen. You would just still take like 6 damage.
He falls into the category of must answer commanders. He comes down, you have to answer him. You can't let him sit there.
Yeah.
So moving on from Nixilis to the first Blue Farm deck of 2. It looks like there's another one up there that we'll get to.
Yeah.
This is I don't know this person either.
Tremnick,
but
it's Tremnick.
Oh, Tremnick. Okay.
Tremnick, Spanish Matador, probably one of the best European CEDH players for a while. They have been around forever. Great player, great pilot. Won several tournaments. I think won 1 or 2 Chaos events last year or the year before.
Have they always been on Teferi Time Raveler, or is that a newer edition?
That's like a Tremnick special.
I really like his creature package. One of the things you always look at when you look at Blue Farm decks is their creature packages, because that's where the biggest variance is. And he's got some cool selections here, like Sidisi's Faithful.
That's also see still on Rain of Filth. Rain of Filth is also like Tremnick. So some people call it Crackpipe TNK. So before TNK I call it Cobalt, right? With like additions, like all those value creatures Brian Cobalt brought to the deck. Blue Farm was more this style. They played Rain of Filth. They played Jeska's Will. Oh yeah, Tremnick is still on Jeska's Will. All those like cards that make Ethnos better got basically cut by Cobalt to like just fake Ethnos, right? It's just a distraction Cobalt on set about Ethnos and TNK, and just added more of the value creatures. But Tremnick apparently still believes in those explosive mana spells. Also, like you mentioned, like Teferi is, I think Killstars and Tramnik are like the last two TNK players who play Teferi. No Kitten. I know Killstars. I think Killstars still plays Kitten in TNK, but yeah, definitely not your average TNK list with like cards like Snapback, CDC Faithful, which you can do off of Ranger
definitely
Captain.
not average here.
This looks like the blue farm deck I would like to play. This looks like what
exactly.
I would like.
I lost to Tramnik's TNK in a top 16 match a couple of months ago, and I think the winning play for him was Ranger Captain for the CDC's Faithful. I think so. It's just cool, nice to have, to know that your Ranger Captain finds removal. I think it's not the worst, but obviously like the card quality of CDC's Faithful outside of those niche scenarios isn't considered as high in a 4-color shell, right?
Well, I remember the original discussion in like the Blue Farm discourse was always around CDC being able to remove things like Archon of Valor's Reach.
Exactly.
That's where I think it originated into the list, and then everyone else has moved on, but Tremnek holds on to it, which I approve. I like it. I think it's good.
I mean, really the first thing I look at when I think about this deck is, wow, everyone's talking about how Blue Farm is the worst ad nauseum deck, and this is a Blue Farm deck that can Nause for real.
Yeah, it looks like main game plan ad nauseum, right?
Oh yeah,
or at least
100%.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know if I could get behind Jeska's will in a 4-color deck. It's so wild to me, but if it works,
I mean, his
works.
you look at his average mana value without ad nause, it's 1.27, which is lower than what I run in Florian. So you could definitely main phase ad nause this. Yeah,
for sure.
That's pretty sweet.
Also, like,
and one of the things I always look for if you're
so
on
great.
Jeska's will. If you're on Jeska's Will, I always look for if you're on Bergie, because I think that's a really good 1-2 payoff where you can like play Jeska's Will into a Horde.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like the best. That's like the very best.
Yeah, if you could do that, you're gonna win. At that point, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, we've got Dan Brown on his Thrasios Bruse list, which I've played against a bunch of times now, and he always kicks my butt. Dude is
another top 16 for Dan, defending rank 1 on the Mox Masters leaderboard. Got a bye, son of a gun.
Yeah, got a bye round 1. Ridiculous. The guy with the most points has a fucking bye.
I mean, it's
ridiculous.
Random, so I've yet to get one bye.
It proves
I've never
it's
got a bye. Never ever. Give me a bye.
No, me either.
RNG
Never got a
gods.
bye.
Dan's
just a great player. I don't think there's anything spicy about this list. I don't see anything.
No. One recommendation:
pretty,
if you're watching, then please make a copy of your list and delete the sideboard and submit the list. It's just there are bugs with the sideboard and people got game losses because Moxfield bugged out. So I will always recommend making a copy of your list, deleting the side and considering board, and submitting the list without a side or considering board, so you don't fall into the trap of getting a game loss because Moxfield bugged out and your list is updated 1 minute ago and then they have to issue a game loss. Yep. But great list, yeah. He won so many games, so many Swiss rounds with it, right? Is there anything spicy besides
Machine God's effigy is interesting.
Is he on Machine Gods?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's on Machine God's Devoted Druid plan. It's a really good infinite mana combo. A lot of people are starting to introduce that into Kinnan. I tested it for a little while, decided it wasn't quite good enough. But it definitely is a functional... Yeah, well, it's not even that 4 is a lot of mana. It's that you end up presenting the two pieces, Devoted Druid and Machine God's Effigy, are slightly worse versions of what we already have, but they present a new win line, which is cool. But I don't know. The way it played out in the deck, there's almost no situation that I would tutor for one of those pieces over tutoring for the Assault combo. And I don't know, it just didn't work out for me. But some people swear by it. Some people really like it. I definitely put it above Freed from the Real in like quality of plan. I think Freed from the Real has a lot of issues, and this solves most of those.
True. The cute part about Freed from the Real is it wins through right? On null red effects. That's like the one huge upside. And but I don't know. 3 mana is a lot.
Stop it though. Curse Totem.
True.
Card's pretty.
Yeah, Curse Totem is the kind of shits on green decks.
Yeah, but that's why I like that people adapt to the meta, and if people like Dan Brown just continue to top 16 and play decks which like run Walking Ballista, you should just respect it and play Custodium if you can. Because those pilots aren't going anywhere, especially not if you're not respecting their decks and not taking against them.
Right, agreed. So moving on from here, we have, I think, the spiciest deck in the top 16. And that is the Tymna brother Tuka on his
huge jump dragon.
Can I take the lead on this one? Let me go on a little rant here about how fucking awesome this deck is. All right. This deck is about going as wide as you can possibly get. We've got Chatterfang, Squirrel Drendrel. We've got Endrick Sar, Master Breeder. We are taking advantage of these tokens with stuff like Liliana's Standard Bearer. We got Pitiless Plunderer. We got Ruthless Technomancer loose. We got Sanguinary Priest to ping down the table. Oh, you want mana? Thermopod. Veteran Explorer. How about some basics? Wall of Roots. Why the fuck not? Yawgmoth Brand Position. Go off. All right, this deck is running. We got Beseech Mirror is awesome in this list. We got Meltdown, fuck the table up. Corpse Dance, I have no idea why we're running Corpse Dance, but it's fucking cool. This deck is on Rampage of the Clans. Rampage of the Clans. I have no fucking idea why. There is no way that is the best thing we could be running, but he top 16 with it, so who fucking cares? This deck is on Skull Clan Plan. We've got Altar Lines. We've got Birthing Pod shit. This deck is on Goblin Bombardment. I love this. This is a crazy pile of madness, and I'm all fucking I 100% here for it.
I literally lost to this deck this morning, and I don't know how. I don't even know what happened, but I lost.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay, this is corrective, right? No Collector Oof. I don't
know.
No
Collector Oof.
No. There's a Manglehorn, right? Okay, so... But
the plan is to blow up all the artifacts, so there's no point in stopping them. He has Meltdown and Rampage as the clans, and Culling Ritual.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also, luckily this didn't come up. I was talking to Tuka yesterday, and he's like happy that this didn't come up because he got a ruling wrong where he was on Falaji Wayfarer as a way to go semi-infinite with Prossh, where you get to keep the tokens. But apparently it doesn't quite work how he thought, because Prossh is worded as you make that many kobolds where it's the amount of mana spent to cast it. But when you use Convoke to cast Prossh, it's not spending mana, so it doesn't make the tokens.
Oh, okay.
Weird little ruling to keep in mind for something. So we can now cut Falaji Wayfarer.
So my opinion is... Yeah, go ahead. Comment on that first. And
I just wanted to say, I love when people picking up old decks that are considered dead and like breathing like new life into them and bringing them back. Like Drexessa did that a while ago with Sir the Enchanter, right? Just revamping the deck and like adding Out of Time, which has been huge for them. And now we have Tuka on Prossh, and I just like, I love to see it.
Yeah,
I really do.
So two things. One is if you go to ChatGPT and you ask ChatGPT what the best CDH deck is, it's going to tell you Prossh. Because it's stuck in like 2018 or whatever. So it will say Prossh. The second thing is this is the kind of deck you can only get to as a brewer when you take risks by playing things like Tymna and doing things that are just completely outside of the box, so that your thinking is just in a different plane than everybody else's. That's
I love it because our format can probably never be solved, right? EDH is probably never solved because it's just pumping out that much product. That's why it's, I think, so important to just revisit old strategies, old commanders, and just try out stuff. Will this Prossh list be the best junk list you can play right now? It's probably not, probably never will be, but it's still cool to see that it's able to spike a tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely a deck that will, like, once you learn how to play against it, it probably gets a little bit better. But I think right now, when you don't know what it's doing, it's just going to run people over. It's just really good. So, okay.
Imagine the look on people's faces when you cast Thermopod.
Hey, get your lung. You dropped your lung on the floor, Max. Go get it, dude.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, I'm still sick from this weekend. All right, give me a break.
You're like near death over there. Yeah.
I am a wounded satellite.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from the spiciest deck on the list, we got Jeska Tymna with Urza Pebble.
23
not
lands.
Summer anymore.
23 is kind of insane. If you don't have Roger in the comment zone, this is crazy. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, this is Shiver Tech right here.
Yeah. Is there a Mem Knight? No Mem Knight? Oh, Shiver will be mad.
No, Shiver has cut Mem Knight a few times, so it's not completely unprecedented. I've seen him
on
do
World
it.
Gorger lines. Are they on the
no
LED?
Broodlord, though.
He's on both
Okay.
both Abdel and World Gorger, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
I
Broodlord
dig that.
package,
I like
which I
Abdel.
like.
And Aurillac Salvagers. And
Okay,
Curia.
yeah, I was gonna say, is there Aurillac?
Honestly, I think
So-
Aurillac is kind of underappreciated right now. It's still a one, like, here's a creature. If you can't deal with it, I will win, because there is a LED in my graveyard.
Yeah.
Still a
And
very
it's really,
powerful.
It's really fun to trick
powerful
bind it,
card.
though. I'll tell you that.
Toxic.
Yeah, but no, this is
I
a cool list. I like it. It's one of my favorite decks in the format. I played it for a few months myself, and
I
really,
just, but
I really
honestly,
enjoyed it.
I haven't played Mardu in a while. I played Ihara a while back, and I played some Jeska Tymna and some Tymna Roger. But I'm really not sure why you would run Tithe over 24 land. I don't know.
So Tithe is actually great. When you're on
Is
this
it?
really low land count, you run Tithe for a few reasons. One, it gets you 2 lands, which is super nice, so you're not missing land drops. But it also is like an incredible play in a Colossus Citadel deck, because not only is it shuffling your library when you need to
That's
shuffle,
fair.
but it's also grabbing 2 additional lands out.
Here's
fair.
what I learned about Tithe, because I was in exactly the same position as you, where I built this deck and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not running Tithe. I'm putting a land in. Like a land makes more sense to me." And then I went and spent one night mulling the deck on Moxfield like 400 times. And when you add Tithe to the deck, your percentage of keepable hands rises.
Goes up. Yeah, because you
and
fucking
that's-
guys, when you goldfish, you never. There are no mental missteps when you goldfish, but that's not how it goes.
Yeah, but I've
sure.
never seen anyone mental misstep a Tithe. I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's
happen.
fair. No, that's fair. Like I said, I'm not an expert on the archetype.
But-
I'm just
but also-
like
also-
that,
also-
how this deck
also-
functions with 23 lands. With
Yeah,
your
well, also
commanders
to-
being like 3
to-
CMC.
Yeah, to be fair, I ended up on 24 lands and Tithe is where I ended up.
Yeah, that's fair. Probably I'm also just not personally not comfortable playing decks with
This
that
is
low.
definitely
low land count.
Yeah, it's really
But if it
Yeah,
works,
this is-
hey,
this
if
is
it works
very
for them,
low.
I'm
well.
happy for them.
You have to be comfortable mulling really aggressively. You're going to have a
Probably.
lot of 4-card hands. You know, it's just the way that deck goes, and you have to be okay with that. But it's a great deck. It's a lot of fun to play.
Also, we've seen this before in the Sharky's list. I don't know if the Nixilis deck played it. Beseech the Mirror is in this deck.
Yep.
New
Yep,
edition. And this
I've
deck,
seen it in most of the decks we've looked at that have black. I think
Yep.
are running it.
also great card in this deck, I think. If you have an infinite mana combo in your command zone, this can grab your Aurillac Salvager. It can tutor like Abdel Adrian into your hand, right? Because it's 5 CMC, you don't get to cast it. But you can also grab just a Ranger Captain, Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond. So
Yeah,
I think that's
if all
also a
else
great
fails,
deck.
just get a ring. Just get the ring if you can't get anything else.
Exactly. Or just some of your great artifacts, like, right, Defense Grid, Portable Hold, Sensei's Top. The Grinding Station is also a good one. Cloudstone.
Doing a
you
quick
can
look
cast
back
Cloudstone.
here. Doing a quick look back, it looks like Tremnek was not on Beseech.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Because he's running the old school blue farm.
Nixilis is also not on Beseech.
Oh no, I thought it was on there. I thought I saw it.
I think up Nixilis
I might have
should
missed it.
probably. I think it's good in.
Is
think
it
it
not
But
in
the one-
Tymna Halana? Let me go back to Up Nixilis. Let me go back. Maybe I missed it.
I did see it in there.
Sorceries. Okay, it is
Sure.
there. It is there.
Yeah.
Up
Okay.
Nixilis has it. Up Nixilis has it. And Sharky is
Sharky has it. Yeah.
Sharky does
Interesting.
have it, yeah.
Yeah, I think this card isn't going anywhere. I think
No.
it's good enough for the most decks, honestly. I've been
It
very
does-
happy with it in Najila.
It does have some blowout potential, but
Yep.
but
Mindbreak
Yeah, if you
Trap,
have to-
Cluster Storm are pretty good versus it, right? Trenet is a
Yeah.
good piece.
so play it carefully, but
Yeah.
it has
Yep.
huge gas potential, so it's pretty damn good.
Mhm.
So all right, so moving on from there, we get into the KINNAN zone. Is this correct? Is Jorman playing KINNAN?
Yeah, I was,
was.
in my mind, it was like, oh, Jorman is on TNK, and then he kept like writing in our group chat about like KINNAN. I was like, oh, he's playing versus a lot of KINNAN decks. And then after the tournament, I was like, oh, Jorman was playing KINNAN.
Yeah, he played Kinnan.
So,
And he had
yeah.
an interesting list. He had an interesting list for sure.
So I
Yeah.
guess we'll start with your list though before we get into that. So, first question is anything different?
Nah, I haven't changed anything in like
No
a month and a
Beseech the Mirror?
half. Just been
Interesting.
no Beseech the Mirror. No, I don't know. The deck.
You did the Agatha thing, right? The Agatha thing, is that in there?
I haven't even tested it yet, honestly.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to. Dude, the deck has been so good lately. It's been like, I don't know. I've tested every card I've possibly wanted to test for Kinnan. I've genuinely done like over 1,000 games on the deck. I've honed it down into the list that I think works best right now in the meta. And I am interested in testing Cauldron. I am interested in testing a few new pieces, but like, I don't know. I've had a pretty crazy last month. I have 3 top 4s and another top 16 in the last 5 weeks, and I feel really good about where the list is at.
When's the last time you lost a Swiss game, dude?
True.
I have not lost a Swiss round in 20 rounds right now, and it's still an open streak. Still an open streak.
Sick, man.
Great word.
I don't want to ever play against you in a tournament ever again, dude.
I
beat you once. I beat you once. I'm never gonna play you again. That's the plan.
We never get paired. It's super
never.
awkward. We should have.
I want to play against Memo.
Yeah, but it never comes up. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think I played versus Dan at all. So I don't know. Some people you never meet. I don't know. It's right. Awkward. That's how it is sometimes.
Yeah. Like I've played against Waffle multiple times. I've been paired against Snake. I've been paired against like all these other guys. Though a lot of times it's in the later rounds where we end up taking IDs. But like I've never been paired against you. Never been paired against Shauna. Never been paired against like a few really consistent people.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Kinnan-wise, though, I'm very happy with the list. I think after Chaos, I will start doing a little bit more testing with some of the newer cards. But like right now, the list has just been dunking on people. I'm pretty happy with it. And the Kinnan Discord keeps saying, "Why the hell are you playing Karn?" Like it goes against everything. And Karn continues to just absolutely wild in. Karn was so good this tournament.
Karn is insane. If they don't have like a Kraum, right, or a way to like Kraum and play, or a way to power out Kraum. And early, like, turn 2 Karn just can annihilate so many decks. Because if they don't... It's I mean, you don't have the best blockers early on, right? Because Kinnan is not the best blocker. But if they don't have an attacker early on, you will get a fucking... I don't know, whatever into play before, like, Wandering Archaic, right?
Yeah.
And this
if you manage to jam a Karn early, they're not going to get anything to attack Karn.
Right? Exactly.
Oh, yeah. But also, Karn has stupid high loyalty. He's not one of those planeswalkers that dies to a random Tymna attack. Like he starts out, he comes down, kills something, and he has 6 loyalty.
I played a turn 1 Karn yesterday with Talion, and it ended up at 14 loyalty at one point.
Yeah, I put it in, and so I revisited Karn when I picked up Nimrus after Snake BTF with me in the Swiss, because I was like, this is a 6 loyalty commander, and my 6 loyalty planeswalker, and my commander is a 1/6. This has to be good, and it was super good in Nimrus. And then I swapped to Talion, and Karn is a mainstay for sure. Great card if your deck supports it. But there are some games where it just isn't as great, right? When the Karns are around, the Gilded Drakes, the Kraums, I mean, the Kraums and the Gilded Drakes. But then you just cast another spell. It's not like the end of the world.
Yeah. I mean, it still provides people an egregious roadblock to get through because Karn is hard to deal with, and then either way, it buys you time. And when you're a Kinnan strategy, you really just want to buy time. You will win the long game.
Well, and also just getting rid of 0-mana rocks is not to be understated either. That is quite effective as well. It's just a great card. It also can recover your stuff. So end up things with exile that can sometimes that's relevant. Well,
it was funny in my round 3 game, which me and Memo talked after I was 2-0, and I was like, do I just start IDing or do I start playing? He was like, nah, man, play for seeding. Show them what you got. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And in my round 3, I was on the play. All 3 of the other guys wanted to ID, and I told them no. And it was very clear that they were playing for the intentional draw from the start. And so I was on the play. I start off like stupid ramp start turn 1, Karn on turn 2, Seedborn on turn 3. I'm off to the fucking races. I'm pretty much 3v1ing the table as they're trying to deal with me. And then like a couple turns go by where I wasn't able to close it out yet because I was just on the Seedborn plan. And they pushed through a Toxic Deluge. And from that position, Karn had like 9 loyalties, so they were all locked out of doing anything. Because I was against Tymna, Jeska, and Rocco, and so they were just fucked. And I had already replayed Kinnan a couple times, and there was like 30 minutes left in the round with this Karn on high loyalty, and a guy just showed me like 3 more answers to Kinnan in his hand. It was like, can we draw? And I was like, yeah, okay. We can draw.
Nice try, though. I'm proud of you that you tried.
So looking at these other Kinnan decks, how look like they're pretty close to yours. I think, like you said, the bigger difference. Like I see comas and I see no cards.
Machine God's effigy. Machine God's effigy. Devoted Druid.
20. Yeah, I'm 20 cards off of Jorman. Let me pull up the other guys as well. Okay, so the guy in 8th place, who I think I talked to him. He was based off Tyler from Play to Win's list, which is why it's a little bit closer to mine. Tyler from Play to Win changed it up his list after we talked a lot at SCGCon and added some of the cards I recommended. So he's currently has those in his list, so that's why those are similarly reflected in this guy's. But he's on a bit more of a big flips package, having Jingataxius, Coma, Terastodon, and missing out on Fabricate, Trophy Mage, some of those pieces. So he's much more dedicated to spins, much more dedicated to the long game, and he's going to struggle to like close it out cleanly, is kind of what happens in those scenarios. Missing Minamo, which feels bad.
I'm not a huge fan of Jingataxius. I think it's so easy for 3 people to play around. So easy for 3 people to play around it.
Yeah.
But,
and then Jorman's on a very different plan to me. Jorman is like clearly much closer to Ping's list. He's just trying to go infinite mana and win the game. He doesn't really give a shit about spinning. I mean, he doesn't have Thorn Mammoth, Chimera, Void Winter, Archaic, Lenolendra. Like he's missing a ton of flips. He's much more committed to infinite mana combo. Yeah.
I respect that. I don't know.
Makes sense.
Interesting, like one little shout out before we move on. Aboleth Spawn is like people are like, this is not good.
Right,
this is not good because if you do it in response to a dockside, you have to use the treasures immediately, otherwise they get even more treasures. And I'm like, yeah, but in decks like KINNAN or Trasios, you just dump the mana into your commander.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, do activations. So
it's like dockside on the stack.
Aboleth is a
find Aboleth ATB, let the dockside resolve, and or like copy the ATB, and then activate KINNAN maybe 2 more times. So I think that's a very spicy tech for sure.
Yeah, no, Aboleth is one of those creatures I've like considered multiple times, and I've come around to the conclusion that it just has too low of a floor for me.
Yeah, it's very situational.
Although the ceiling is you do it in response to an Atraxa or to a Tivit, and then you
or like dockside, or I don't know. Yeah,
I wouldn't do it to a dockside maybe just because, like you said, it just gets crazy.
No, I mean,
well, you just crack the treasures. Yeah, you just crack the treasures and spin KINNAN. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's like super crazy because for KINNAN it's like double the amount of mana, right? So in an ideal scenario, you have KINNAN, you cast this in response to dockside, you make 20 mana, and it's like 3 more activations or whatnot, right? So in a perfect world, right?
Yeah.
But I can see this being that fair amount of times as well, so I don't know.
KINNAN does some cracked shit with treasures. It's really nice to get treasures. Big fan. That's why I love cloning a Tivit, because for Tivit players, they're like, oh, okay, when I swing a Tivit, I get at least 1 draw and 2 blues. It's kind of the mindset. But with KINNAN, it's at least 2 draws every single time. It's really nice.
Super good.
So, moving on from the KINNAN pack,
we have Rocco.
Yes.
Haven't seen that in a hot minute.
It was doing well for a while there, and then it kind of disappeared a bit.
Yep.
But, I mean,
people just learned how to play against it.
It's a good
They just learned how to play against it.
Also, like, Robin said it to me the other day, Rocco would be so good if you always had the Wirewood symbiote in play.
Yeah.
But it's like the first Rocco cast is always you need to find a bouncer or an untapper, right? So just if you start with one of the like Wirewood, or what's the other one? The 2 CMC. Oh, they don't run that.
Yeah, it's just Wirewood.
Just Wirewood. So, and I felt like that's a very good way to explain the struggle of Rocco, right? The first Rocco cast is always you lose so much tempo if you need to. Okay, here's a Rocco 4/1, which is 4 mana, and hopefully next turn, etc., right?
I mean, one thing I would like to point out in this deck, Falaji Wayfarer is also in this list. Why?
Because this there's a line with this card that lets them just go like infinite very easily. I don't fully understand it. I played against Rocco in Swiss at the cookout, and they played Falaji Wayfarer, and that's how they won the game. And I couldn't tell you because it was like a 45-minute turn. But it gets you there.
Also, like,
interesting.
You give Rocco basically Convoke. I don't know if it's like worth for 3 mana, but it's definitely cool, right? If you have stuff like Granger Captain, Imp Recruiter in play, like cards that usually only sit around, and you can use them to convoke. Seems kind of decent.
There's some spicy cards in here too, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Gandalf the White.
Elish
yeah, I was gonna say I really do like. I mean, Rocco is a deck that can go off at instant speed really, really well. They do a wonderful job of that. Like I've seen Vivian, or not this Vivian. A lot of times they're playing the 3-mana Vivian that gives flash as well for their creature spells because I mean it lets them if they can do a. Are they on Academy Rector? Not Arena Rector in this one, not Academy Rector. Okay, so they're not trying to get a food chain into play that way. Are they on food chain? Yes, yeah, they are still on food chain. Yeah, so I mean, food chain. If you have that there and you have your Squee, I mean, Squee is a legend, so that still works with Gandalf the White really, really well. And then they are on the Vivian plan, sacrifice Rocco, get your Karmic stuff.
Yeah. Also, really shout out to the brewer because if your deck folds to Dreaded Magistrate, Haven Mind Sensor, and Opposition Agent, you run removal, and they are running all the removal. Collateral damage, Lightning Bolt, Rending Volley, Abrade, Thunderclap, and Mind Collapse. Holy shit! I love to see it.
They're not going to let Draenei stay in play. Period. They're not going to let
you need to kill the Op
stay
Agent.
alive.
Also, you tap out for Rocco, and then they cast the Op Agent in response. You need free interaction to remove it. That's why I love like playing Thunderclap or the Mind Collapse
and
here.
cards like Collateral Damage double, right? Because they can get rid of their own Rocco to recast it and kill something that needs to get removed at the same time.
Super. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
All right, so moving on from Rocco, we get our buddy Devrick on Tymna Kraum. So stepping away from the Najeela for a minute.
Oh, he lost one color.
Yeah.
He lost terrible mulligans, but he gained card advantage and mediocre mulligans.
This looks like a very Kovold-esque list, right? I see.
It's I don't know. I think Devrick is such a good pilot. Devrick could play
incredible.
He's plays so well, honestly. And I'm happy.
I don't know, missing the staples to Seduce's faithful.
I've had the pleasure of losing to Devrick on Blue Farm, on Najeela, on Dahada, and on Tymna Jeska. So I've lost to him on 4 decks now. So he beats me with
my
everything.
condolences. There's nothing much to say. Great pilot, great, well-proven deck.
Well, and he's I'll say this: Devrick is one of the most fun people to play with too. He's just a
for sure.
really positive outlook. You know, he doesn't get down if he loses. He's just real fun to play with.
People just like losing against him. That's why he's topping. Stop liking to lose against Devrick. That's what he wants from you.
That's right. Don't give him wins just to see him happy. Come on, stop it.
Exactly.
All right. So next we've got Sisay. Now these are always hard to look at because every Sisay deck is just so different.
Yep.
So I know the lines pretty well here, so I can take a look at what packages they've got going on.
8 Planeswalker.
Okay, so they have
so
that's really important. If you have the full Planeswalker package, the important ones there that you have are Aminatu the Fate Shifter, Nicol Bolas, Saheeli Rai, because there you also have Oath of Teferi and the enchantments, I would assume. And so that is one of the infinite combo lines where you end up in a position where you have all of those on the battlefield. Aminatu and Nicol Bolas with Oath of Teferi can activate twice, so they can work to blink each other and activate again, and then you can start looping that with Saheeli Rai to make infinite damage to your opponents. Oko and Teferi Time Raveler are kind of staples in the archetype. Tyvar works in lots of the combo lines using stuff like Selvala, and then Dihada is just bonkers, which if they are on Chromatic Ori, they're not on Chromatic Ori.
And also not on the enchantment, the aggressive black one.
Oh, they're not. Okay. Because that's where you usually see Dihada is if Sisay is at 0 additional toughness or 0 additional power, and they have double Wooburg +1, that can be a win line from 0 because it goes through the black enchantment Dihada and Chromatic Ori. But Dihada is still it's practically free. It makes 4 treasures, gives you another activation, so it's still a really good planeswalker to have access to. I really like seeing Nyambi in a few of these lists recently. Nyambi is really, really good. 2-mana legend. You want your 2-mana legends, bounces your dockside back to hand, has splash to protect. Sisay is really, really good. Seeing Bowmasters is cool. I'd assume we get an Emil package here. Yep, so we get the Emil and Blink packages that are pretty standard.
I'm a huge fan of Eritrea Resurrected because it's a removal that you can switch over with your commander. I think it's worth
it's also
slot, honestly. Gives you colors
so it also
that
can be a win con.
Exactly.
It can't be a win con, because if you're in a position that you've like lost a lot of your win cons and you can still make an infinite blink package, you can then blink every single spell. You can counter every single spell and blow up every permanent, which is really nice.
Yeah. Shout out to also a new card, which I don't think we thought. It's Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Sisay Slam Dunk, probably mainstay staple. You can tutor it with Sisay. It smooths out so many lines. If like the dock set plan isn't going well for you, you can still curve into that. Just a great card. You can eat.
Yeah.
If you like mill creatures over with the Hada, for example, or somebody brain freezes you, you get to eat those creatures and still give Sisay the, I don't know, you can make a Favor Elder out of your Sisay, for example. So just great addition to the deck. Makes it only better.
Yeah, I got to spectate one of my buddies winning on a line last night where he used Sisay to tutor out Soul Cauldron, to then tap Soul Cauldron to get rid of his Sovala in the graveyard to make Sisay into a Sovala.
Great.
And win from there.
Also, like Gaia's Cradle is not always in the deck, but now you can, if you have enough creatures, your Gaia's Cradle just fits so well to the Cauldron, right? Because you can just dump all the Cradle mana into Sisay activation, which is like crazy good. And then you have like the Revi to untap the Cradle again and just win from there.
I think Agatha is maybe the like biggest breaker of the format out of that set.
Oh, I don't agree. I think Besiege is better.
You think Besiege is better?
But maybe
because
it goes in more decks. Maybe that's why I'm biased. I think Cauldron is.
I think you're right. I think
Besiege is than like Besiege, right? So
I think Besiege will get played more, but I think Cauldron is more warping when it is played.
Maybe. I think like Cauldron in Sisay is like hypercharging the deck, and Besiege in like 3-color decks like Tivit is good, but not as good as Cauldron is in Sisay, right? But Besiege and Crick is like super nutty.
Oh,
and Cricket's broken.
So I think that's more comparable. But
that makes sense.
I'm with you. Like those are definitely the two best cards by far, right?
Yeah. I think Soul Cauldron will find its way into other decks too. I wouldn't be surprised to see. Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised to see some decks be born on the back of it. With what it
I think also KINNAN. I don't know, Wounded.
Yes, I mean a lot of people have talked about Cauldron and KINNAN, and it kind of depends on your view of the deck. I'm going to test it soon. Mine is much more of a mid-range control list where I'm much more happy to go slow and don't need to have constant access to outlets, and that means that when I do want an outlet, I want it to be as accessible as possible. And so I'm only on one non-Thrasios, non-Treasure Vault outlet, and that's Mirage Mirror for me. And when you're considering the non-land, non-Thrasios outlet, if you look at Mirage Mirror, it gets got by Trophy Mage and all the other artifact tutors except for Moonsilver Key. And if you look at Energy Refractor, which is the one I used to compare it to, it gets got by Moonsilver Key but not Trophy Mage. Cauldron gets got by neither, so it is the least accessible of the outlets.
True.
Which, if you're only on one, I think you want to value accessibility a little higher. But Cauldron is a card I'm going to test soon, and I'll see if it makes it worth running two outlets. I don't think
also like
Mirage Mirror for it.
It's graveyard hate. You can steal a Ranger Captain, which is huge for KINNAN, right? So I think there are like some upsides you maybe only will notice when you just play it out there. So interesting card.
Definitely excited to exile my own Glenelendra and just mess people up with that.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to number 3, we have what I call Baby Blue Farm. They call it Blue's Clues, which is the Friends Forever, Lucas and Will. Will's a really cool commander. I had a deck I was working on for a while with Will, because if you can get blinky effects going on, you can blink Will a bunch of times. You can do a lot of things, and that's exactly what this deck is looking to do with Cloudstone Curio and Baron Master Wizard and Dockside.
Sweet. Also, like, it's pretty basic 4-color stuff, right? But Braids is super cool. You make the clues, and some people just, I don't know, they keep their Mana Crypt lands, Najila, for example, and if they like Braid sacrifice an artifact, and sometimes you just have to second crypt or you give them cut draw. So I think Braids is definitely
Braids isn't forced. It's a May. Braids is a May.
I know, but no.
But you
give them a draw, right? Either obviously you give them the draw. Like I would probably never.
I've experimented with Braids. They
will draw 3 then, right? That's also not great for me, but most of the time. I think I'm a greedy player. I'd rather give them the draw than sack my crew.
Yeah, I experimented with Braids and Florian, and every time I sacked a treasure on end step, I got 3 cards.
Exactly.
People don't want to give up their artifacts.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to number 2, we've got Kediss Malcolm. This is Samurai Dancer, is what he's known as. Played against him a bunch on the Chaos League, including this deck as he was prepping. This is a super control list, actually. This is very controlling.
More on the nip. So I know from Samurai told me that it was originally a Nif Mizzet deck, and he rebuilt it to Malcolm Kediss, but still gets out the dragon as often as he can because the dragon is such a good mid-range value piece. And also hard casting it from hand is super easy in this deck, alongside stuff like Sphinx or Nezahal. And shout out for them making top 4 here.
Yeah, this was who I lost to in my top 16 match. It was he mulled down to 4 and got a pretty bonkers 4. He went land, Jeweled Lotus Malcolm on turn 1. I was actually set up for a turn 2 win. I was in second seat. Everyone tapped out, and he starts his second turn going land, Kediss, swing with Malcolm, make 3 treasures, time twister.
Yeah.
So unlucky for you.
So I was like, okay, whatever. I was disappointed that I wasn't going to just get the clean turn 2 win, but I was looking at just a disgusting ramp start. I went land, Mox, Diamond, Arcane Signet, Birds of Paradise on turn 1. So I was like, okay, no matter what I draw here, I'll probably still be in good shape. But I shuffle in my graveyard in hand, I draw my 7 cards, and it's 6 lands and a March of Swirling Mist. What a shame. What a shame.
This deck is an interesting compared to Talion in a way, because where Talion tends to have issues with mana, it's just difficult to get enough blue mana to continually interact turn by turn, but has great card advantage. This is kind of the opposite, where this has no mana problems at all. But it doesn't have built-in card advantage. Right, so it runs things like Consecrated Sphinx and Niv Mizzet and Nezahal, and those generate all the card advantage you would need.
Exactly, but as we talked about it, it's another 2-color deck with a 1-card win con. In this case, Clinton Buccaneer, and it's doing good. So that's definitely something to keep in mind.
This is what I believe Comedian ran this at Festival of Nights.
Chaos. Was it also
Chaos?
No. So it was definitely
it was Kinnan at Festival of Nights.
No, it was, He ran this at Chaos 6 when I was against
that's
him.
What it was. Yeah, Chaos 6. That's what
so yes, my last.
Yeah, that's right.
Against
The
a
deal.
lot of Malcolm Kediss lately. Yes, that was that game.
Yeah.
The king finally found a crown again.
Yeah.
It's been ages. Kenrith won another tournament. I think the last major tournament was accepted, winning Playmax 2 or 3. It's been a hot minute. I'm happy that Kenrith pulled off another win, because if you read Kenrith, it's like a broken card, right? It has all the colors, all the abilities, but it never showed off. It was always a tad too slow, and I'm happy for PTD, who's been around for a while, to take it all.
PTD's been top 16ing or top 4ing with this deck a lot. Every top 16 review, I feel like he's in there every single time. With this
crazy mid-ranges, by the way. Displacer Kitten, Data Navigator, Emil, Metamorph, crazy stuff. 26 creatures. Great deck. 5 colors, the best is from each color. I don't think there's anything super. Are they Gas of Soul Cauldron? No, right? Yeah, that's.
Cloud Shift is funny to see.
We do not.
And they are.
No Beseech
the Mayor. Okay. Are they on Spellseeker? Okay, so there's a cool line they're playing. They're playing the Displacer Kitten Spellseeker line, which lets you to entomb your Oracle and trigger Kitten again, and then you find your. So I think you start off with Dark. Oh, they don't run Dark Ritual. So I only know the line when you start off with Dark Ritual, but still entombing. They're not on Reanimate, sorry. Okay, this is super spicy. Yeah. So it's a value entomb for just Breach? I guess.
Well, so the idea with Entomb as well is Kenrith goes through Reanimator lines because Kenrith's last
yeah,
ability is to
that's
put a
fair.
creature
Okay,
in the
so
graveyard on the battlefield.
Kenrith.
Yeah, so
Okay,
just Entomb at Dockside, Reanimate the Dockside, win game.
I don't know. If I would run Entomb, I think I want to Reanimate, but I am not a Kenrith expert, and PTD won the whole thing, so he probably tested it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, in Flurry and I run Entomb, but not Reanimate because because of breach lines. Yeah.
Fair.
So
great. Whenever I see a display like it, I'm happy. Just a great little kid.
This was definitely the sloppiest finals I've ever watched. I don't know if you guys.
I haven't watched it yet.
I heard about it. It
was literally just it was a constant pattern of like one person being like, I'm going for a win attempt. This is the line I'm doing. This is how you stop it. And then Table would be like, okay, we'll come together and we'll stop it. And then the next person would say, well, now I'm going for this win attempt. This is how you guys can stop it. And then they would stop it. And it was wild. They were all like helping each other understand what they were doing and telling them how to stop it. It was the most sloppy. It looked like a casual coaching session where everyone was trying to learn each other's decks. It was the weirdest thing I've ever watched.
I just remember going to bed and then waking up to get a drink of water and like they're still playing. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was a 2-hour game after 12 hours so definitely another long tournament day.
But congrats to PTD for taking it down. So
exactly, good job, buddy.
Good job, man. Good job. So with that, I think we'll move on to the big topic, which is the elephant in the room, which is this was yet another online tournament where cheaters were caught. In this case, was it one cheater in this case, or
yep.
I think just one so far.
Yeah, just one cheater
so far,
this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Memo.
I played them in the first round. I don't know if they cheated. They were on the play. They had a good start, but like I have no indication that they cheated in our round. They didn't win. They killed me, and then the other Najida player won. But I think 1 or 2 rounds later, they shuffle cheated.
So the way it was described to me, which again I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate, it was less so someone going in with the intent to cheat constantly, and it was much more taking advantage of a specific moment where they were shuffling their deck and like a card fell out and they saw what it was and it was a card they needed in that situation, and so they put it on top of one of the piles purposefully. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going in with the intent to cheat from the beginning. It was just like, they got caught up in the moment. And they got called out in it when they put it on top of one of the piles, and they immediately like called the judges on themselves and was super honest about what happened. And, handled it all as good as someone could handle it in that situation. And that's why it's been like much more of a quiet thing where they haven't just gotten like shouted out and hated on. Because they were very honest.
Cooperative.
Yeah, they cooperated immediately. They didn't try and like lie at all. I think they immediately felt guilt for what they tried to do.
Yeah, the heat of the moment, and they just saw the opportunity.
Which still fucked up, still unacceptable, but
yeah, it's a tough one.
They handled it correctly.
It's a tough one because the thing about these cheaters is they're not bad people. They're just people.
Yep. Exactly.
But the problem is that you can't have any tolerance for it because any tolerance at all, it will become more and more rampant. So you unfortunately, even these people who are not bad people, you have to really stomp on them. You have to ban them. And you have to move on, even when it feels terrible.
I agree. There is no, and I want to really stress this, there is no accidental cheating. We had it in the past that people were like, oh yeah, I like shuffled sloppy, or like there's sometimes this notion of sloppiness, but there's just cheating. There is no accidental cheating. Either you cheat or you don't.
Yeah.
That's all there is. We won't go into the metrics of was it like accidental or didn't he know better? No, like either you cheated or you didn't.
Well, the other thing is you're not doing these guys any favors by letting them get away with it because this is a burden that they're going to carry. Like they know they cheated. Even if no one else knows they cheated, they know they cheated, and that's just not a healthy place to be. And I think there's something to be said for being in a place where you feel the need to cheat, where the clout that comes with it feeds you somehow, fills something that you need, and so I feel some sense of guilt in that, when Nilstan was caught cheating, about a week before he was caught, I had played a bunch of league games against him, and I had this sort of,
the ick.
I had this feeling, I literally woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, all those things that happened in that game don't make sense. I think he's cheating. And, what I should have done, and I think people should do, is I should have confronted him right then and there, right away.
Before the tournament. Hey, yeah.
Before the tournament. I should have said, hey, I can't prove it. I don't know for sure, but I have this feeling that you're cheating. And if you are, stop.
Well, so that actually is an interesting point, because going back to the specific situation with Derek, we knew he was cheating before the tournament. And it's this weird spot where we don't like seeing him cheat in the tournament, and it was really awkward to have him make it all the way to top 4 with us when we knew he was cheating. But at the same time, is it better to do what we did where we knew they were cheating and didn't confront them about it yet because we wanted enough evidence to ban them first because our evidence wasn't yet satisfactory? Or is it better to just tell them, hey, we know you're cheating, stop in that moment?
Yeah, I think it depends on your relationship with them in a lot of ways. Like, I consider Nilsten a friend, and as a friend, I wanted to, cut that off before it was too late.
Yeah.
But it's different when it's you're aware of someone who's cheating and you need to prove it.
Exactly.
It's a totally different situation.
Yeah, I think. Oh, that's a really tough one for me. And with Big TP, we also had a relationship. Same goes for Wounded in this case, I guess. I reached out to Big TV and was like, okay, buddy, I don't know how you did it, but I know that you did it, and I'd like you to come clean and confess, because it's super obvious. But I just don't know how you did it, but I would like to know, and I want to give you the chance to just confess. And he, from what I gathered, he panicked and was like, no, I didn't do anything, right, for 1 day, and then, but in the end, he also confessed, and this is a pattern. This is new, so cheaters have been around in the online events for over a year now, but the last couple of cheaters we caught confessed immediately, basically, after we provided evidence, obviously, and that's something which is new, and I am happy to see it, because although you can't go back in time, right, I still think we should appreciate that they are confessing it in the end and also show remorse. I think that's an improvement. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I was really disappointed early on when Nilsten just would not admit it, just could not.
Yeah, it was so obvious as well. And then
his was the worst we've ever seen.
Exactly.
There's some people you look at their videos and you don't know how they do it. But
legitimate vocus was also pretty terrible and pretty obvious. But for Nilsten, I was super bummed out because they just should have come clean, but they decided to stick to the accidental cheating stuff and act like sloppy shuffling and whatnot. I don't know, that's their version, but I think it's pretty obvious.
So, here's the reality that makes me, sad. Is just the fact that, it's going to continue to happen. We're going to continue to catch people cheating, and there are people who are bad cheaters, and there are people who are better cheaters who probably get away with it, and that's a reality that we're going to have to live with in webcam tournaments. And Max and I were talking about this a lot offline. I'm really kind of the negative person about it. I'm having a very difficult time thinking about even playing in these tournaments anymore, because it's just
me too.
It's just so toxic, on so many levels. I'm really having a hard time with it.
Me too.
But Max, you're kind of the opposite of me, right? You're going to keep going, right?
Well, I am trying to keep a positive mindset. I'm not the opposite in this. I'm happy this is going on.
Right.
No, it sucks. And it's so shit that we have to be so vigilant. Every single one of my games on Mox Masters, I started off waiting until a few people were there, and then sometimes we had to wait a little on the fourth person, and I would say, hey, you guys are welcome to start shuffling now if you want, but once we get everyone here, we're going to make sure someone is recording, and then we will start actually shuffling. So just be prepared to shuffle more once we are fully recording and doing all the stuff. And I always said it in a way where, people are aware it's nothing against you personally. I don't know who you are. It's just what we have to do nowadays. And it sucks that we have to be this vigilant, but the positives of being this vigilant is it is catching people. It's hopefully making people not as encouraged to cheat, and hearing people get caught and talk about the impact it has on them is hopefully going to make them not want to cheat as well. It sucks. It does. It sucks that it's part of the reality, but it is part of the reality. And I think just because there's this negative aspect to online tournaments doesn't mean we should take away from all the positivity of online tournaments, which is the accessibility of players from all around the world to come together. The people in Europe to get to play online. When I was in Costa Rica, it was amazing. And these tournaments are the reason that I've gotten to meet all these wonderful people and that I'm in the place I am today. Like, I don't know. I don't think we just say that.
Podcast. We literally wouldn't be sitting here talking right now. We would not be here right now. We would not. The three of us would not know each other at all if it wasn't for
right. So just because there's a few people being pieces of fucking garbage online and cheating in these events, does that mean that we just throw everything else out the window and just let them ruin everything? No, I'm going to still be excited about playing in tournaments. I'm still going to be excited about playing CEDH with my friends. And, there's negativity that comes with it, and we're going to deal with it.
Yeah, so I want to touch on two things. One thing, so I have like two goals regarding CEDH, right? When I entered the format, I started like with EDH when Ikoria got released, so not too long ago. And then quickly, entered CEDH, and like I really love the format. And what I always wanted to do is to somehow make the format more accessible and tell everyone that I love the format. Right? I make almost every day. I make tweets about cool or terrible, miserable interactions I experience in CEDH games. Right? Like yesterday, I tweeted, "Oh, I played this Dockside loop deck, and then they hit me with a turn 2 Nullrod on the play," right? So because I just want to get it out there, it's a fun format, and I think I've done a reasonable good job doing so and getting people attracted to the format. And we've seen that, right? There are more CEDH events than ever before. There are more EDH players than ever before, and with the growth, which I like, there will be more cheaters coming. And this is just because there are more players, and if you're going to play with like the same 100 people every month, we can sort out some bad apples, and at some point we won't have any bad apples left, right? But but that's not the reality, right? The community grows, and therefore there will also be new people that will also cheat. So I think it's not like, oh, we just have to be sharp a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then there won't be any cheaters left. I don't think that's how it will turn out. But we have to just accept that there will always be a percentage of cheaters, and this is just the price we need to pay for making the format more accessible to more people. This is like my main goal besides winning. I just like to compete and I like to win. But the other thing I always push forward is telling people about CEDH, trying to get people interested in CEDH because it's just so much fun. On the other hand, the other thing, sadly, with the recent cheating experiences I experienced personally is sadly that I end up in games and tournaments where I just start second guessing myself, and I just ask myself when I lost like a Swiss round, I just immediately ask myself, did they cheat? They had a good start. Maybe, I don't know. Was it legit? Right. And then I just try to get and then I feel bad for assuming the worst in people because I hate doing that. I want to assume the best in people, but this keeps happening, and this just my mindset just gets so negative because of that, and I just start seeing ghosts everywhere, right? And start getting paranoid, and that really wears on me, and I hate that, and I really don't want that, and I hope I can overcome that because I don't see myself playing tournaments if I enter a pot and just assume everyone is cheating around me. It's just not a fun experience for me. So I hope I can, adapt my mindset and don't end up in this position.
And the compounding problem is these are people we know. These aren't just complete strangers who we just ran into for the first time. These are people we knew. These are people we liked. These are people who we considered friends, who we, who did this. And it's it has you just looking over your shoulder. It just has you, paranoid. And that's a real thing. And
it definitely made my. Sorry.
No, go for it. Yeah.
It definitely made my trust kind of go into shambles a little bit when it was Derek and Zach back to back, who were two people where Derek was someone I became really close friends with right when I first got into CEDH. he was
I'm
like
so
the
sorry
first
for
person who
you.
was like, "Oh, you're good at Magic," and I was like, "Oh, sweet." And then I mean, we like hung out and brewed every day. We talked literally every day. I have countless hours brewing that Liberator deck with him and playing that Liberator deck against him. And it was like something I was really proud of to see it do well. And it was so shit to figure out that he was cheating and then have to watch it, go over again. It was at a really awkward time where he'd kind of disappeared from CEDH for a month, and I spent time with his kid, and then I found out that he was probably cheating, and then like a couple days after someone had told me about that, and I'd kind of seen the evidence, was when he reappeared onto the scene. And immediately was trying to hit me up, and I was kind of trying to distance myself for that week because I knew he was cheating at that point, and I didn't yet know how I was going to handle it. And then it was so awkward to like go to that Chaos tournament. He immediately starts a group chat with all of us, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, like good job, man." And then he makes it all the way to top 4 against him, and I like have to watch his shuffling, blah blah blah. And then finally we get enough evidence, and then of course I called him, and I said, "Hey, I'm your friend. I care about you. Like, here's your chance to just own up, bro. Just." Be honest about what's happening, and he gave me the same old I can't admit to something I'm not doing.
Damn. So, same phone call.
yeah. I mean, and I had that same conversation with Zach, where after we did the math on the Jewel Lotus, which it was super shitty. It was Derek, and then Zach was like the next day, and it was like the day. It was literally like I found out about Zach maybe an hour after he added me to his new Discord, where he wanted to teach people about CEDH and get people into the format.
Yeah,
and then. I remember even like being confused by like he was talking to me throughout the tournament. We like talked a few times throughout the tournament. He told me what his start was, and I was like, "That's insane!" like when he would tell me what to do, he's like, "Oh yeah, I had turn 1 to Gila and Sim, and I'd Reviant him too." I was like, "That is wild."
I played
then,
like 100 games of Najila with Samut, and I don't remember a single turn 1 Najila and turn 1 Samut. I don't know, man.
It's not possible.
And
so I remember telling him, and the next day we did the math on it, and it was like, okay, the statistical probability of getting just ignore the Samus, ignore the Spirit Guides, just Jewel Lotus Mana Crypt in the same hand, not mullinging below second 7, 5 games in a row is 3 out of a trillion. Which is, let's be real, it's pretty low. And so I called him and I was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And you had already spoken with him, I know, and I had a conversation. I was like, "Look, man. Here's where we're coming from. Here's the math on this. Okay. Now, can I tell you 100% how you did anything? I can't. But here's the math on this. What do you think about that?" And he just gave me the "I got lucky, man. Can't own up to something I didn't do."
I don't know about
the
Derek.
next day.
Yeah.
Damn.
So what's the motivations behind all this? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. So we know.
Cloud.
It's cloud, yeah. I think that's very interesting to understand this. So I heard it about Derek. I heard it from Zach, and I also think the last player also said something along those lines. So all of them didn't do it for the money, right? I mean, they could say, "I just wanted to win $500. That's why I did it." But none of them said that. It's about getting the fame and getting the cloud and the acknowledgement. And I really want to stress this here. You don't need to win to be seen. Everyone who competes at Mox Masters or Chaos has my utmost respect. I see all of you, all 140, 130 people competing. I welcome everyone in the Swiss round with the same gratitude. It doesn't matter if it's the first Swiss round or the finals. I'm just happy that we can enjoy this together and play this together. I play on all kinds of Discords. You can just shoot me a DM. I'm willing to play with you, right? I'm not some elitist who just plays with the same 5 people every day. So don't feel pressure to like spike with cheating a tournament to get the accessibility to play with people like me or Max. That's not how it is. We see you and we are excited that you decided to compete in an online event, and please don't feel pressured to manipulate or to cheat to be seen.
Yeah, I do think we as a community somehow need to help people achieve some of that recognition that I think they all want. Besides just looking at top 16, and I'm not sure how to do that. I mean, we just looked at the top 16, right? So it's we definitely didn't look at the last 5 decks in the tournament.
I mean that's what's difficult is if someone shows up with this really wild brew, but they go 0-3 drop, we're not gonna notice it. You know what I mean? So like I understand from a head perspective, I want this deck to be seen, but at the same time, if you're dunking on people with Safi, come on, I don't know.
Hey! Fridge decks are good, man.
And I think it just there are like people like Tuka. We just talked about the wild Prossh deck, so it's definitely possible without cheating. Without cheating, right? The way to cheating is not the way, and it's not even worth it. You're gonna get banned from all the discords, like all the tournaments discord at least. Like you're out. This can't be worth the risk. Can't be worth the payout. Just don't do it, and you will regret it. All of them, everyone we caught, as far as I know, regret what they did, and it's just not worth. Honestly, some of my best like CEDH friends I have, like some of them have like miserable eminence records, right? And like barely made the top 16, maybe won or never made a top 16. I don't fucking care. I still like playing CEDH with them, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, and you deprive yourself a chance to get better. Like, you don't know how good you really are, and that's half the fun of this whole format for me. Is just looking back. How did I do before? How am I doing now? And just improving as a player. Getting to know all these people in the community. You deprive yourself of all of that, it's like it's just not worth it because the ceiling will eventually cave in on you. It's just a matter of time.
Exactly.
And living every day with that expectation is just not.
Also,
not a good place, man.
Like maybe this is a good transition to our last theme. The format is very young, and you can like look at Wounded, right? Like he even said a couple of minutes ago, he hasn't been around for a long time, and he wasn't even there last year, and he's just one of the best players right now, right? Like topped every event in the last 3 months. So the format is so young, and there's so much room for growth that anyone who enters it has the time to become good at it in a legal way. You have all the time in the world because the format is far from being solved. There's so much room for innovation and so much room for improvement. You have all the room and all the time to just try out. It's not like you're downloading League of Legends, a game which has been around for like 10 years, and like there's no way you're gonna like make Challenger unless you like put in hundreds or thousands of hours of gameplay. That's like CEDH is way different, and there's a way of becoming good at it without cheating.
It's hilarious to me
because
because
just jamming games.
I mean, when we first started this podcast, Max told me, he's like, I heard that you were one of the old guys. You're one of the old guys in the community. I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. Like my first tournament was in November of last year, right?
Great.
And that's
I'm older
longer than most people.
My first tournament ever was Mox Masters May.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Mine was Oktoberfest, November of 22.
Oh, I played the OG Chaos events. No, it's been a while.
I wish I did. I wasn't in the CEDH
the format.
Those
the
were
format
unhinged, man.
It's in its infancy. Like it's just brand spanking new. It's not anywhere close to where it's going to go. This is just the very, very beginning. I do think we'll get our arms around this cheating thing. I think, there are some things that we can do, in terms of cameras and recordings and things like that to help. So, just this conversation has made me a little bit more optimistic. So,
that's what we like to hear.
So I am going to play in Chaos this weekend, I think. So
let's go. Hey. I'll be off.
You ready to get
I'm in Berlin
dunked on in the Swiss, my guy?
Yeah, I'm gonna root for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my best.
Whoa. Root for me, Memo. I want to.
No, I root for Max. For all the Maxes.
That makes it easy.
So it's funny. So my Max's tournament record against me is he's 1-0.
That's right.
I played against Max in my second tournament ever, and he was the first person to ever out-politic me in a game where he convinced me not to blow up his wish claw, but to blow up a different wish claw, and he was able to win.
Yeah,
you conniving little fuck.
Let's go.
It was sweet.
But it sucked because I originally targeted his wish claw.
I talked you out of it. I did. I totally talked you out of it. I'm like, look at me. I can't. What? Look, there's 2 Tyrannus. I can't do anything. I'm hopeless. Like, you don't need to kill me.
Never again.
He's like, okay, you make a good argument. Okay, pass the tournament.
You will meet in the finals on Saturday. I feel it.
Hopefully you'll be better by then. It's a secret.
You bring KINNAN and I'll bring Florian.
Hell yeah, I would do that. I would 100% do that, 100%. But yeah, so I mean, from there, I mean, transition to a slightly different topic, and that is, you both do coaching, CEDH coaching. I know, Max, you do mostly KINNAN coaching, right? But Memo, you coach everything, right?
I coach everything, but I gotta admit, I think it's like 60% Najila. 60, 65, maybe 70%. So it's most of the people who reach out to me for Najila, but I've done all kinds of decks, or sometimes not even decks, like talking about archetypes or tournaments in general. So
for someone who's never had a coaching session, how do you set the coaching session up? Like, find out what you're going to talk about, what you're going to get into. Is there anything that's out of bounds, or what? How do you do that?
Cheating. I don't I don't cheat. I don't teach how to cheat. That's out of bounds.
Yeah, it's definitely out of bounds. Yeah, that'd be out of bounds. I don't know. I mean, when I was getting into coaching, the first person I hit up was Memo. He kind of gave me a quick rundown of how he organizes his sessions and his, base thought process of going through it. And I mean, mine have all been very, very individualized. So I can't say that there's one, template structure that I use. It really is, someone hits me up in my DMs and says they're interested in coaching, and I respond to them. We schedule time. I ask them some questions about their deck list. Are they in a proxy friendly environment? Are they building for a tournament meta, an LGS meta? Or sometimes I had one coaching session for a two-headed giant CEDH tournament, actually, where him and his buddy came on. Yeah, that was a cool one. But so you ask those kind of questions to get an idea of where their head's at, do they have a budget, all that kind of stuff. And then you get a grasp of like where they're currently at with the deck and the strategy. Do they understand all the intricacies of it, or are they still learning some of the more niche combo lines? And then you ask them, I don't play with you, which this is what Memo told me. I don't play with you. I've never seen you play. How do you think you can best utilize this time with me as a resource? And so you kind of get their interpretation of what they think they need the best work on. And then while you continuously talk to them, you'll generate some of your own ideas, and you can guide the conversation sort of how you think will best actually help them.
Yeah, there's like different, like I think basically there are like two schools of thought, right? The one school of thought is like, you're going to sit there for 1 hour and I'm going to talk for 1 hour, and you can write all the stuff down, and then you can like rehearse it or like read it again. And there's the other school of thought, which I'm, as a social worker, I'm like more in that school of thought. And that's like, you're the expert of your own life, and you know best what you want and what you need in life. And I'm here to support you achieving that goal. So what do you want? What's your goal? Do you want to spike a tournament? Do you want to become the best player on this fringe deck, right? So it's all about goals, and what's your goal and how can I help you achieve that, right? I can talk about Najila or Talion or Grolnok or I don't know, so many decks for hours, but maybe that's not something you want to work on or you need to work on, right? So that's like obviously like almost always the first question, where do you want to improve on? And from there on we will pick it up and see where they need to improve on. Because some people are like terrible at goldfishing, and then we goldfish a bunch.
Right.
So just try to avoid traps. Like one common trap in Najila, and I know probably Wounded has some KINNAN traps as well, is like keeping an early Najila. Oh, Jeweled Lotus. Najila's a broken card. I keep that. And then they keep like 3 lands, Swan Song, and I don't know, Final Fortune. And you don't have a payoff. You don't have a 2-4 payoff. Besides Jeweled Lotus, there isn't a lot of mana. And then that's just a dead hand because you're in top deck mode on turn 2 or turn 3, right? So then we talk about like stuff. I don't know. Give me a trap hand in KINNAN, Max.
A trap hand in KINNAN? Double door hands. The double dork hands, because people think, unless it's like, oh, I can curve out like turn 1 dork into like turn 2 land KINNAN rock Bloom Tender, that's fine. But if you're keeping a hand that's like, oh, my mana acceleration is just 2 mana dorks or 3 mana dorks, it doesn't work as well as you think. It's really, really slow. It's always a turn slower, and it's really good at getting to 6 mana, but not 7.
Yeah, so those are like the things you sometimes talk about. Other people just want to talk about politics because they like can play the deck very well, but they're like super silent or have like social anxiety, and there's a lot of things to gain if you are vocal in a CEDH game. That's also like a huge topic 100%. Sometimes.
100%. My joke is always, I don't play blue, but I play blue players.
I love that one. I love that one.
Yeah, your mouth is as important as your deck, and learning how to use it is.
Sadly, sometimes I'm annoyed
important.
by it. I know that's
Definitely
the 4-player aspect, but sometimes I just wish to only hear pass priority or in response. But I know that CEDH isn't like that.
Politics are part of the game.
I
Four-player game,
know.
baby.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
but yeah.
so what kind of people come to you for coaching right now? Is it mostly experienced players? You got beginner players, or is it a mix?
For me, it's a mix. So I talk to people who already played tournaments and were like, "Oh, I missed out on top 16. I've like bubbled out, and I really want to make the last step. Can you help me improve?" But I also talk to people who like freshly entered the format, or other people who I don't know, are playing CEDH casually and just want to start playing tournaments. The only thing I really like, I think Wounded can, I don't know, do you do budget coaching? Because I'm not into all the budget stuff. Like if somebody would ask me, can you help me brew a, if somebody like would ask you, can you help me brew a $100 KINNAN list, or like me ask like a $100 Nixilis list, I would like blank. Because I don't know, like
so I haven't had someone ask me to do that yet. Yeah, the closest I've gotten on that was a guy who had like most of a real KINNAN deck, but missing like Gaia's Cradle, Mox Diamond, like all the really expensive cards. And he was like, I have $140 I can spend to add to it. So we did discuss a couple potential upgrades. So it was a budget deck, but it was still a mostly there budget deck.
Yeah.
That was
because I see
I've
this sometimes on Twitter, like, "Yo, this $50 Tymna Trustios deck has been slapping," and I'm like, this is like something I'm super not interested in, because all the events I play are proxy friendly, and I really don't have the energy to dig out some 2-cent cards which are okay. I don't know, like this is, if somebody would ask me that, I would turn it down. But besides from that, I'm like super open to like, beginners, expert, whatever. I don't care. As long as
it's like asking a gun expert about knives is the way I think about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's like not my. But I know other CEDH players love that shit, like limit brewing, and I love that for them. But that's like definitely not my ballpark.
I'd probably be open to it. I mean, I haven't had someone ask me to like really brew a full-on budget deck yet, so I'd probably be open to it until I tried it and decided I don't like it.
KINNAN budget.
It's hard, dude.
Next
hard.
I top 16 on this $25 KINNAN deck.
Timmy 1000, who does the budget brews, approached me and asked me to come up with like he asked me to come up with a $500 and a $100 Florian deck, and it was $500 deck I was able to put together. I don't know how good it was, but getting to $100 was just like, dude, this is
terrible.
Miserable. You can't have any of it. Yeah. You can't have your mana crypt is $200, like whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. My KINNAN deck is like $7,500 or something.
So last question about coaching is just simple. Like how do people get in touch with you if they want coaching?
For me, it's mainly Discord direct messages.
Yep, I can only say the same thing about that. Either Twitter or Discord. I think it's probably in the description below.
We'll put it in there.
Yeah, just shoot a DM.
Sure.
Sometimes I need a couple of hours to respond. Be patient, please, or a couple of days. But I will usually get back at you in the same day, and then we can sort stuff out.
Well, Memo, it was a pleasure and an honor to have you on with us today. This was a really fun conversation. Lots of stuff we talked about. We got to.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun talking about all that stuff, top 16 and stuff. And thank you so much.
Yeah, and hopefully when we talk next week, Max, we'll have both.
We're gonna crown one of you. One of you get crowned. I feel it.
Yeah,
it's time.
We could do it.
I'm ready. The time has come.
For both of you, actually. For both of you.
Yeah. I mean, this is gonna be my. This is my 5th Chaos event. I've never missed top 16 of Chaos, so I feel good.
Crazy.
Feel good about it.
Yeah, this is only my 2nd.
Let's fucking go.
I also haven't missed top 16 in Chaos yet.
You gonna play Talion, Max?
Yeah, that's the plan. Don't tell anybody.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so thanks everyone for joining us. If you enjoyed this, please do the whole like and subscribe thing. I really enjoy these conversations. I hope this helps the community grow and helps us address the issues within, and it's just a good time. So thanks again, everybody. So,
yeah.
Bye.
One more time, thank you for listening to Colors Are a Crutch. My name is Max Nurberg, aka Woundedsatellite, and hopefully next week my voice is not complete garbage and I'm not sick.
I'm Max P. I will be the Italian man this weekend.
And I'm Memo. Thanks for having me again.